Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 12th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's purpose to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I use to guide virtually every move I make. Now, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, we have Storm in the background. He is a primary moderator. He's the one that makes all of this technologically possible. And then we have LA Moon in the room itself. By the way, hi LA, how you doing? I'm glad you two could make it. LA keeps a real close eye on what's going on in the room for us, as well as making sure that I keep my health under control so I don't go dropping dead on you while I'm talking to you. Now, before we get in, we are going to be looking at basic finances today. But before we do that, we are going to start welcoming people. We'll start with the obvious one. Operation Shutdown, you're in with the gold. An operation starts off with the journey continues today on January 12th, 2025. And what do we got here? Rachel Andrews is in with the silver. How you doing, Rachel? Glad you could join us. The fact of the matter is, before I really get into the financial side, number one, I am not what you would classify as a financial advisor, in as much as I've never been trained. That said, thanks very much to the efforts of Storm, we now have these self-help books. Yes, they are still available from me at $20 Canadian in your hand almost anywhere in the world. Okay, but that relies on the mail, and is $20. That said, if you go up to the top of the chat room, you'll find a link. We'll do that the other way. buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. There you can buy any of them. Now, these three books, amongst several others, are available. The one I'll bring your real attention to at this point is this one. And of course, available digital, they are only $10 in your hand, essentially before the echo dies from you hitting the purchase button. Okay, this is the one that I use to literally reclaim power over my life. Okay, simple, easy to use tools. Now, here's the neat little part. I'm not going to go through this page by page, by the way, but let's start with the obvious issue that so many people forget. There's lots of phenomenal books out there for tell you how to make your money work. Okay, I could quote some of the greats. As a matter of fact, I will. Like there was one written years ago, I did read it, called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay, and then of course you've always got Dale Carnegie, a phenomenal author. But here's the kicker. Most of the books that are out there tell you how to make money work if you have $10,000 to $40,000. I don't know how many of you have just $10,000 laying around. I work with if you've got $1.50. Okay. So here's the basic backbone of every single financial plan in existence that I'm aware of. If you desire your bank account to grow, okay, we have Renee Andrews is in with the bronze. How you doing, Renee? Glad you could join us. The backbone is this. When you desire your finances, your bank book to climb, okay, number one, put it in your back pocket and go up the stairs. No, that's not a good idea. Actually, that works, but not for money. In any event, the whole catch to it. Ferret, you are in with honorable mention. How you doing? The whole backbone to it is when you desire your finances to grow, spend less money than you're earning. Okay. If you do that, then you will find your bank balance grows. Now, don't kid yourself. I know in today's world, it's a royal pain in the neck. Okay. Because most of you really don't have enough money coming in to make ends meet. So we're going to cover the basics on how to get that to happen. No, I'm not going to give you a whole great idea of, hey, I got all kinds of ideas. Give me money, I'll make you rich. Got news for you. You give me, you buy, like if you purchase the books that I've got for sale, okay, number one, the tools in them will help you get your life on track. I know this because I've had well over 100,000 clients that I've personally guided to do just that. I'm doing this here for nothing. Okay. And rest assured that's about what I'm making. But I'm not here to complain about that by any means. Number one, now let's start with the obvious issue. Okay. When you're looking at your finances, when you spend less money than you earn, you will end up with a growing bank account. But there's a couple of neat little keys to it. Okay. Now, for pity's sakes, guys, if you've got a question, yeah, and LA, that is very much the case. LA goes, I read this morning that most people are paying 30 to 50% of their rent alone. Okay. And that is very much the case. This is why, and I'm not talking about just up here in Canada. In Canada, I've got clients, friends in the States, in England, in France. They're all suffering from the same thing. Okay. Some genius figured that you should spend all your money on your rent. And if you miss your rent once, they'll evict you because there's lots of people out there dying to get into these places. Now, it is a primary concern, but there's a couple of neat little kicks to it. Number one, and I get a kick out of it. Way back, and I'm talking decades back, at least in Canada, at least the people I knew. Okay, there are some societies that they keep everybody, they keep the families living in one home. And so many people look down on them. I'll tell you, they had it right. Okay, now, Callie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, here's the kicker. When you've got enough money to live on, it becomes a little easier. Okay. Number one rule of thumb. Okay, when your check comes in, if at all possible, which by the way, in 90% of the cases or more, you can actually do this. When a check comes in, whether it is from the bank or whether it's from a government subsidy, whether it's from work, whether it's from unemployment, doesn't matter. Maybe it's from an investment. Every check that comes through the door, take 1% off the top of that check. Okay, now 1% means 1 penny on the dollar. If you get $100 in, okay, that means you're taking $1. That gets put into your mad money. Okay, and I'll explain why that's so important. Do that before anything, if at all possible. Okay, the reason for it is this. If you don't do that, if you take all your money and sink it into your bills, you have a problem whereby you're going to be looking at your money in all likelihood going, I'm working to pay my bills. That's it. I'm going out, I'm working, I'm getting nothing for it except my bills are being paid. Somebody else is making money. This is inherently going to cause problems, mentally speaking, by taking that 1%, $1 per 100. Okay, now $1 can usually buy you at least a chocolate bar. Okay, But what it does, mentally speaking, is it changes the feel of your income from I'm working to pay my bills to I'm working and paying my bills. Now you'll notice 1% is not a lot. Now here's the thing. If there's more than one person that's got an income in the house, you take 1% off of your income and 1% off theirs. And you take 1% off yours, put it in your pocket, take another percent, put it in the pocket of another earner. Okay, that's their mad money. They do the same thing. Ultimately, what this means is you've got a little bit of cash that you can do something for you. Okay, that's number one. Number two, above all else, here's the two bills that have to be dealt with as a priority. You've got to have your rent paid, rent, mortgage, lease, whatever you've got. Okay, you've got to have that paid as a critical priority. Now, who can guess or who figures they know what the next absolute critical bill across the board, every single one of you has got to get paid before any other bill. It's absolutely critical. Now, I'm not going to wait a long time because, well, we're on limited time. But just want you to think about that. Now, most of you probably won't say, holy mackerel, that just about came out wrong. I just glanced over it and we've already got 10 in the room. Now, does anybody know, after rent, what is the bill that everybody's got to pay the rent first? And what's the next bill that every single one of you has to make sure gets paid? Absolute critical priority above all else. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. This is one of the things I actually cover in this book. Okay, I'm not going to go through it page by page because that doesn't work. Well, actually, it works like a charm. That's the whole kicker to it. The second bill that everybody's got to pay, no matter whether you're a pauper or a millionaire. That'd be the one. Actually, it's electric first. The reality of it is water is extremely important. You're absolutely right, LA. But here's the kicker. Purple, how you doing? Glad you could join us. If electric isn't paid, odds are your water pump won't work. And you can bet your internet won't work. This is why you've got to pay the electric. Everything else you can run with. Okay, you can work around one way or another. Okay, but you do that because that keeps the roof over your head. If you're late on your phone or on your internet, yeah, you may run into a problem. You may not have those things. But the fact of the matter is, without power, whether you've got the others, it won't matter. Okay, now, the other thing we look at is this neat little idea of savings. There's so many sales out there that are incredible. But I will tell you, if you're one of these people that goes running from one grocery store to another to get the sales, ultimately you're going to be paying more in gas than you save on the sales themselves. Finances, and it's something I ignored. Okay, the reality is I wrote this decades ago and have showed millionaires how to make money. I had a drawback. I didn't care. I did not see the point in worrying about finances. I told people how to do it, but quite literally, almost everybody I knew that started off with no money and then came into money, they forgot where they came from. And literally, I watched an abundance of money tear relationships apart. Okay. And I'm not talking about millions, although in all fairness, that works as quickly. I'm talking about literally just simply paying the bills. Okay, especially if we've got a disparity in finance. Okay, now I will tell you this, there's a lot that goes on in the financial world that is just basic, what I call common sense. Okay, and like I said, I'm not talking about, gee, you got $5,000 that you can sink into this neat stock? Not a snowball's prayer. You want to invest in stocks? Absolutely, go ahead. Talk to those that have been trained. Okay, I invest in people. Okay, I invest in the idea of people working together. Now, that sounds really, that sounds really elevated and what have you, or it might. The fact of the matter is, if the people you are around, if you support them, the odds are a lot better they're going to support you. Now, I absolutely hate the fact in my eyes that I've got so much help coming to me. Absolutely, it's astounding the support I've received from Storm, from LA Moon, and honestly, the number of people that are in here on a regular basis, for me, it's heartwarming. When we look at finances, we're not talking about just the idea of the monetary side. But if you don't take care of you at this point, you're going to walk into the same mess I've got now. Okay, that I personally have. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on what I'm going through. I'm going to ask you guys this. Okay, and if you want to share, this is great. You know, quite frankly, in case you hadn't noticed, I feed off what's coming through the chat room. This is why I keep looking over here because I can see it. You know, but when we are looking at finances, I never saw the point in worrying about it. But I will tell you, what are we? We are on Sunday right now. I started a process. I saw an algorithm the other day. Okay. And I am now working on it, put it in motion. But here's the one thing you may not have. You only require if you do not have a business. Okay, if you're not running a business yourself, you require 2 bank accounts. Okay, and in all fairness, when I talk about you require, okay, I'm referring to what I've seen work: 2 bank accounts and 1 credit card. Okay, and yeah, I know a lot of people say don't get it and don't get a credit card. In today's world, a credit card is almost critical if you're going to do any shopping online at all or do any traveling. That card is kind of critical, and we'll get into handling that in a bit. But you require a standard active checking account, and now that is whatever bank or credit union you want to go to. See, that came out poorly. Whatever financial institution you choose to work with. I'm not going to tell you which one's best because I work with one, and I've talked to people that work with the same institution and have had nothing but trouble. So I'm not going to recommend any institution at all. I'm going to tell you the bank account. Okay, you've got to have Nathan. Glad you could join us. And Nathan is one of our moderators. But Nathan has this neat little thing. Fabulous show, the Quantum Show on Saturday nights. Okay, that runs from 7 o'clock Eastern. I believe that's right. 7 o'clock Eastern until 10 o'clock until 7 to 9. I believe is the length it runs. Now here's the neat part of it. Okay, he's got some fabulous topics to come up. And there we go. We have just had popped up here on the screen here. Ron's starts at 7 p.m. or 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Sorry about that, Nathan. Scrambled it. And we have Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, this is why I say I'm not necessarily good with time, but you get one static bank that you use on a regular basis. You require the one. You require a savings account. Okay. And what I mean by a savings account, this has to be an account that has no service charge. It doesn't matter what the interest is. As long as, the higher the interest that you're earning, the better. But the reality of it is that you've got to have one that has no service charge at all. And yes, banks have them. Understand, if you've got a savings account where they're charging you a fee, doesn't matter what the fee is. Okay. Robert White, how we doing? Glad you could join us. If you've got a fee in a savings account, you're not saving money. Okay. You may be paying less, but you're not saving money. Okay, it's that simple. Now, that's the two bank accounts that are required. If you have a business, you require a business account to operate as well. Okay, so total required if you run a business, 3 accounts plus 1 credit card. You don't require all of them. Now, here's the kicker with the credit card. Okay, credit card. Number 1, do not carry a balance. When you use it, when you use a credit card, usually they give you 3 weeks to pay it before they charge interest. At the 2-week mark, pay that bill. Okay. By doing that, you get the benefit of the credit card without the debt. And Wu's just going, my body's hurting. I trimmed palm trees today. 20 footers. A new side job I started for company. I started for a company, highly profitable. My body will adjust. Absolutely. And the reality of it is that if you can keep physically busy, I will tell you, you'll feel better. And that's something we will be talking about tomorrow. But when you go now, I cannot tell you for your grocery store. I know the grocery store I go to, you know what it is to use coupons and this sort of thing. Well, if your coupon, when you go in, you take a look at the total bill. Okay, now on in the grocery store I go to, at the bottom they give you a tally of how much money you saved because of coupons. Okay, that money, most people, what they do is they take that money and they go and spend it on something else. Do not. You take whatever it says you saved on coupons. If you used 1 coupon that saved you 50 cents, when you get home, transfer 50 cents into that savings account. Okay, by doing that, you actually have savings. If you don't, you're simply, quite frankly, you're not saving. Okay, the same thing applies with everything you're working with. Yeah, Wu goes, unlimited supply of palm trees in Florida. There's pretty much no arguing that point. Now the trick is to cut the bottom of the tree out without making the top drop. If you can do that, I'll tell you, you'll make a lot more money than just taking the top down. Anybody that has a saw or an axe can cut the top off a tree and remove the height. It's going to take a lot of talent to take the bottom 6 feet of the tree and not have the tree fall. That's just a terrible way of looking at that. I was thinking of that in a lot of ways, but we won't get into that. What a novel thought. I'm going to throw something out here that's got nothing to do with finances. But from your guys' standpoint, because I know this is going to open a can of worms, and it's just something I'm thinking about. What is your guys' take on covering the basics in, and you're going to love this one, politics. Not tonight. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there to see what kind of a sheep story I can develop here. But it came to my attention, if I stay sitting on what I'm seeing, we're in serious trouble. Robert White goes, Minecraft worlds for trees staying up without a base. Okay, now that goes into the computer world, Robert, way outside my realm. When we're looking at your finances, okay, it's a simple situation. If, or more to the point, when you spend less than you've got coming in, all of a sudden you got a neat little situation. Your bank account will grow. You will end up with a trackable, quantifiable increase in your available finance. Okay, this is why when I'm working with this, get that out of the way. The way I figure it, it's very simple. Okay, now I use this thing to track everything I'm doing. You guys probably use the electronic version of it. That's an old desktop calendar. I use that because it's easy to track. It's right there in front of me. I don't tend to miss much. Oh, today is the 12th. So, like I said, I track my sleep because it helps me stay on track. But it finances, the same principle, by the way, crosses over, and I'll go into more detail on this one tomorrow. Yeah, Operation goes, politics only in low doses. Oh, the good news is the one thing I won't deal with that is I certainly wouldn't be going, oh, the politicians are doing this, that, and the other thing. Not interested. Okay, I'm not going down that road. I just figured I'd see what came up. And I'm going to take a look at that and see what happens. Yeah, Stormy's just letting us know. Politics comes from from the Greek words poly, meaning many, and tick, meaning blood-sucking creatures. Therefore, politics equals many blood-sucking creatures. And really, when you look at the way they do things, okay, there is an interesting correlation. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Every single one of you, some are more gifted at it or worse, depending. Okay, every one of you is a health advisor. If you know more about health than the person you're talking to, you now are a health advisor. Okay, this is why I decided to take a look at the finances, because I have found out a few things. Okay, I'm absolutely all for dealing with things on a financial level. Number one, get it through your noggins. If you are not already set with a stable financial set to retire, take my word for it. I knew about it. I didn't do anything with it. Okay, I'm now in a mess. And Will goes, politics is healthy and builds thick skin. Here's a neat thing. Hard work will build thick skin too. Oh, Lord, don't I know that one, Storm. But Storm goes, it's really bad when you have a broader knowledge base than your physicians. Or, for that matter, than your banker. Okay, now, when I look at finances, and this is why I say if you haven't already got a baseline, I cannot do the calculation for you anymore. Talk to your financial advisor, the least expensive one to deal with. Go talk to your bank. Ask them how much money you're going to require to have the bare minimum to survive. Now, remember, if you're paying $1,000 a month rent now, or lease or whatever, okay, ask them for a bare minimum of $2,000 a month. How much money do you require in the bank to provide that for you on a stable level? Don't do what I did and come to my point in life. This is why I'm struggling at this point, because I didn't pay attention to that. And yet I've told millionaires how to make money work. Okay, what I'm talking about here is the basics. It doesn't require a college degree. It doesn't require a accounting degree in any form. It requires, well, in the form, but it requires common sense and fiscal responsibility. Pay attention to where you're spending your money. Okay, I will tell you, many people will turn around, they'll look at at a grocery store, or they'll look at a electronics store and go, "Oh, look, it's on sale. I want one." This is not a good way to judge whether it's a good buy. Okay, so I did cover a lot of different little tips in here. Okay, just point form. The idea is simple. There's a lot of really good books out there, really good financial books that tell you how to manipulate your money, how to work with it, how to make it grow. Okay. Now, for those of you that want to play on the stock market, I'm not going to tell you what stock to play with, but I will tell you this. I looked into it a long time ago. Ultimately, you are correct, Callie, but thank you. Callie just says you've got a great ability to manifest what you want. One big thing, I manifest nothing I want. Okay, I manifest that which I desire or which I choose to have. And rest assured, the linguistics on that are of a critical nature. And yes, I am putting that into a book. Okay. Yeah, I caught that woo. And no, I did not rob a bank. Rob just asked in one of my past lives, did I actually not rob a bank? Man, I robbed more banks than you care to count. Okay. Not to mention people and whatever else I can get my hands on. This is not the way to do it. Matter of fact, when was it? Back in the 1600s. Okay. At the time that Robin Hood was said to have existed, I was a thief and I was good at it. But I had a catch to it. Okay. That lifetime, I simply looked at it and I waited for somebody to, and I'll go into that at another time because I know people want to know about some of the past lives. But I was in one where all I asked, I'd listen if somebody said, I've got an unbreakable lock. I'd go and pick it and I'd leave one message behind. You were wrong. Now, I am not a millionaire yet. Okay. And the reason for that was my own stupidity. Now, with that in mind, it's kind of important in my eyes to remind you, don't make the mistake I did. Okay. When you're looking at it, when you've got money that you've got to work with, one of the biggest things you got to look at is if you're spending less than you've got coming in, you will be setting yourself up for success. Now, the neat little kicker, and this is something regarding the manifesting. Actually, in the beginning of last year, I made a goal for myself to break 180 pounds. I used to be 246. I swore I'd never hit 250. Well, I am now, as of this morning, 179.2. Okay. And what that tells me is I've given away just over 30% of what I weighed. Okay. Same thing I'm doing now with my finances. I am starting to watch them climb. Now, I will tell you, many of you have dug yourselves into some pretty severe financial bends. Now, two factors. One, I'm going to give you some tips here. That said, again, if you go to the top, if you go to buymeacoffee.com /InnerVoiceJ. You will find the link to get a hold of me for personal one-on-one consultation. Nice, Woo. Glad to hear it. Now, I'm hoping that you're taller than 5 foot flat. You know, in my case, I'm 5'8". Now I'm working on building my muscles up. Okay. But I will tell you, like I said, the neat trick with finances is pretty cut and dried. Okay. It's a simple case of watching what you're doing and taking responsibility for your actions. Okay. The biggest key to it is acknowledge where your shortfalls are. Okay. I know when I was married, okay, and much as I will be again, providing I don't drop dead first. Okay. But when I was married to my first wife, I had a flaw. If she knew how much money I had, and she'd ask if we could do something, I go, yeah, we can afford it. The flaw was on my part, because if she didn't know how much money we were sitting on, and she asked me if we could go and buy the same thing, I'd tell her we can't afford it. My fault. Okay, I'm the one that didn't leave the boundary in place. Now I'm looking at it going, how much money do I have to work with? Okay, and that's why I laid it out in absolute detail. Neat part about this book actually covers home and business. Okay, because finances don't care how you feel. They don't care one way or the other. If you're in a good mood, a bad mood, if you're sick, if you're feeling on top of the world, money will work the same way. Okay. Now, cost of living is something that's really kind of a fun thing. In a way. Because so many people tell me, well, it's the government's fault that the cost of living is going up. Really? Let me ask you this. When you're going out to shop, do you go to the most convenient big box store you can get? Or do you go local? Operation goes, I'm getting married soon. Do you recommend we keep separate separate checking accounts? Absolutely not. Okay. And I'll tell you why. And absolutely, some people will tell you should. Let me ask you this. You're getting married, and obviously you don't have to ask. Okay. I'll get to that in just 10 seconds, Operation. Whoa. I'm presuming you're getting ready to vacate, which I can understand. Tomorrow, where did I just put it? Tomorrow we are covering health, a new perspective, and then we are going to be looking on Tuesday at spiritual responsibility. Friday, because I got nothing else booked, we're going to go into politics, a neutral approach. Okay, and I will reconfirm that with Storm afterwards to make sure it's all in the right place. Like I said, the reality is I'm not leaving this year. Now, I'm not leaving this year to chance. Okay, nice kid, but I'm not leaving it to her. Now, here's the neat thing. In answer to your question, Operation, the theory is if you're marrying this woman or guy, I don't care. The theory is you trust them. Okay. If that is the case, okay, then leaving the bank account separate doesn't make a lot of sense. But what I do recommend is have a joint account that both of you put the same percentage of your income in. Angels, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, you take, each of you keep an account of your own, and I'll explain why. But you get an extra account that, you each put the same percentage. I would strongly recommend putting in as much as 90%, if not more, but it's always the same amount. Okay, percentage wise. One of you may be making more money. You don't deal with the dollar value. So many times people get caught up in the dollar value. And the reality of it is when you do that, okay, when you do that, what happens is it drives a wedge. If you both take the same percentage out of your paycheck, put it into a joint account, that's where your rent, power, utilities, and one credit card gets paid. Okay, all out of that one account. It's important for you to have your own money. So if you desire to go for coffee, or she desires to go for coffee on her own, or with friends, you're able to do that. Okay, but I will tell you the other thing, absolutely critical. You sit down together. Okay, one of you may be better at handling money, but sit down together and keep on top of where the money is going. What's coming in, what's going out. Communication is your key. And by the way, should have said this earlier, but you said you're getting married soon. Congratulations on that. Really happy for you. Now, yeah, we'll go. I was talking mentioned daily life. In daily life for me, it's real simple. I've got at least 32 books I'm concurrently working on. I'm wiping out all of my clutter. All of it's going. My filing cabinet is already clear of everything from the past. And now I'm going through and eliminating the stuff that I don't require anymore. I'm working on my health. Okay, my weight I've already brought down where it belongs. So I'm starting to get rid of the clutter, all the stuff I don't require, as well as cutting off communication with people that are not putting in a functional unequitable response. If I'm the only one reaching out, I'm done with it. I will reach out to people. Okay. But for me, the stress of trying to maintain relationships with people that I'm putting an effort into it does not work well. But that's personal choice. And this is why I say, absolutely, if you contact me, I will do my best to get back to you. Okay. Absolutely, I will. The reason I say that message on Facebook or a text message, it's not that hard to find my phone number. A text message, usually if I know who it is, I'll respond. So for pity's sakes, if you're reaching out to talk to me, let me know who I am, who you are. Okay. I will tell you, the one thing that sets me off is when somebody turns around and goes, "Oh, can you loan me X number of dollars?" The blanket answer is no. It's that simple. When I do help people financially, I do it with a simple philosophy. I'm doing that because I can afford to. In other words, yes, if I loan it, I desire it back. But if I don't get it back on the first run, number one, I'm not crippling myself. I've done that way too often. That's part of why I am where I am. But if you're loaning money to somebody, number one, realize, do not cut yourself short to loan somebody else. There are extenuating circumstances, and there's always exceptions, if you will. But I will tell you, if you do your best to avoid overextending yourself, you will be a lot more content. I'll tell you, if you've got a growing bank account, your stress level will collapse. Okay. Ultimately, stress kills. I know because, well, frankly, I bottled it all and ended up with a stroke. Don't do that. They're a pain in the neck, amongst other places. But when we look at finances, it's absolutely critical you track what you're doing. Now, I will Down the road, I'll probably do another one on another day on finances. But if you're in a bind now, yes, I do charge for consulting. Absolutely, I do. Understand, I've got over 100,000 clients under my belt, and I've been paid as much as $2,600 an hour for what I sit on. Okay, I only charge $20 for 15 minutes. That's it. Okay, and by the way, that's $20 Canadian. The important factor is to realize whatever you're doing, planning is critical. Okay, why I use this neat little thing that I call the list method. Now, I track it here so that I can carry on and actually keep on top of it. In your case, whether you track what you're doing on loose leaf paper, on a computer, doesn't matter to me. In today's world, it pretty much boils down to the same thing. Now, hopefully this is making sense. Now, here's the other neat little piece. You've got an income. Whatever your income, take a minimum of your paycheck. Like I said, you take 1% off the top, pop it in your pocket. Okay? Now, that's mad money. You also take, and you'll have to talk to your tax accountant for this one, but many people take 25% of your paycheck, of your net check, and put it aside. Blue, how you doing? Glad you could join in. Hopefully your day is going well. You know, the reason I say put 25% in the bank, okay, is because, like it or not, income tax still applies, and that's a sheep show to start with. Okay, but by putting 25% of your net check, if at all possible, in the bank, you'll have it when income tax comes due. And from what I gather from most people, if you're putting that money aside and you put it in to pay your income tax, you'll get it back. Okay. Now, I am no tax accountant. Talk to the financial advisors that are trained with finances. Okay. I'm talking about what I have done, what I've helped other people do to get their life in order. Okay. I've had some reports from people that the tools in this book have turned their life completely around. I have literally talked to people to help get them and to help them avoid bankruptcy. Because here's the kicker. Many of you are so far over your head, you're looking at it going, I'm going to have to go bankrupt. Well, here's my problem with bankruptcy. The only person I've ever seen that makes money, that benefits from you going bankrupt, and I mean financially benefits, is the trustee. You made a contract. If you're in debt, you gave your word you were going to pay X number of dollars for whatever service it was. Going bankrupt, you're not paying that. You've gone back on your word. The company theoretically took your money, and they took it under the belief that you were going to pay them. Okay, and they were going to do their job. Sad to say, there's all kinds of conflict around that. But they won't get their money. The bankruptcy trustee, you can bet your bottom dollar, is going to get paid before anything else gets done. Therefore, they're the only ones that actually make money. Okay, they actually benefit from it. But I will tell you that this is one of those things that I'm going to go back at some point and go over what you can do to get your money set up to avoid going bankrupt if at all possible. Okay, my techniques are not quantified by the financial institutions. They are quantified by what I've gone through, what I've experienced, okay, and what I've guided other people to deal with. And rest assured, with over 100,000 clients under my belt, that's a fair chunk of people. Okay, the real key factor here is you've got to get your money sorted around. Now, neat thing here is this tells you how to break down your income and your bills and get them all laid out so you can reclaim power over your financial world. If you've got somebody else living in the house, okay, now understand, I've got two adult boys living with me. Okay, my sons. We split the bills 3 ways. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. We split the bill 3 ways equally. That being said, it makes it more manageable for all of us. Now, I mentioned getting a bank account, a joint bank account there, woo. In my case, all of the money gets shoved into my account. Okay, and the bills get paid straight out of it. But I also keep my boys right up to date on what I'm doing with the money, what we've got to go through. Okay, so all in all, these are simple techniques. Okay, and I'm telling you, given the number of people that I know, that I know personally or that I know of, that are in financial straits, or in spiritual straits, or in health issues, I'm telling you, bring them our direction. Because together we're going to make this world a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, rest assured, I'm going to be very careful with the topics I deal with. And when we broach that one on Monday on politics, the first person, the reality is this. We are not going to be dealing with, oh, this politician did that. I don't care. Okay, I really don't. I don't care which bank pays you better returns or which credit card has a better interest rate for you. I'll tell you what works. You get to figure out the details. Okay, and like I said, this is not just, oh, it works for me, so it'll work for you. It's a question of it does work for me, but the tools I talk about are ones that have literally worked for thousands of people around the world. Okay, where you can actually take the money you've got coming in almost regardless of what you're making, and we'll find a way to guide you so you can make things happen. It will not be easy. This neat idea that people go, oh, I'll win I'll play the lottery. Tell you, that's a cash cow for whoever sets the lottery up. Okay, and it's designed that way. But using your money, you in control of it, we can show you how to turn things around. Thanks so much for sharing your time there, Woo. Have a good night. Utilizing your money, you being the one handling it, not me. I'm not taking control of your money at all. All I'm doing is saying, here's how finances can work. And the bottom end of it is real simple. Spend less than you're earning, and your bank account will grow. Okay, this is just simple numbers. Same thing with health. If you're aiming at dropping weight, take in less calories than what you are burning, and you'll drop your weight. It's that easy. Okay, now, where are we? Oh, we are down to that already. Okay, so we are looking at a simple issue of 2025 is the year you regain control over your life. And we're just going to go through it one step at a time. It's a real quick hour. Okay, turns out it really is. But I'm also a lot more relaxed when I get off the phone, off the stream, which, by the way, is rather paramount. Okay, the neat part about it is we're doing this to help you get control over your life. And yes, absolutely, the books I write, the consultation, it's all listed at the top of the stream under buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. Okay, absolutely drop me a line. Even if all your, in all fairness, even if what you're doing is just trying to give me a hand, which is really appreciated. There's even a button for buying me a coffee just to help. Always appreciated, absolutely encouraged that you turn around, help each other as best you can. Now we are at the 5 minute mark, I think. Yep. So that being said, thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Do come back tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow, where are we? Tomorrow we are dealing with health, a new perspective. Then on Tuesday, we're dealing with spiritual responsibility. On Friday, we are going to look at politics, a neutral approach. And rest assured, I'm really good at keeping things neutral. And, what I'm not good at, Storm and LA are beautiful at it. This all said, thanks so much. Until we talk again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.